I am back here with Brooke, which I'm very excited to be back with her.
Let's start talking realities about the market of what everyone wants to know what's going on. But Amanda, I'd love to hear, what did you see this year in terms of offers, buyers, sellers?
I would say I felt a little surprised by Q1. The last few years, obviously, a lot of the things that we've been dealing with have been very, very similar. We know inventory has been bleak, and it's been kind of the name of the game. We know that the market, our spring market, has been starting early, kind of that mid-January, waiting till February. We know that we've been peaking kind of as we get into February, March, April, a lot of those things. And all coming into this year, we knew that when we got out of that really ugly interest rate realm, that there was a lot of predictions for the interest rates to get better as we got into this year. So the good news is interest rates did get better. They're still not great, but we saw from where they were to where they are improving. And I do think that got a lot of people's attention. So I felt like I started the year and I felt like there was a lot of activity, but not a lot to do. And what I mean by that is that buyers were ready and excited to buy.
Yes.
They wanted to buy. We were having a lot of initial conversations. We were having a lot of things. And sellers, they were starting to come out of the woodwork saying, oh, interest rates are looking a little bit better, and starting having those conversations. So we were very, very busy prepping for the year. But I would say what surprised me most was that I felt like our launch into the market was slow, right? We kind of just started to see properties trickling out.
I agree.
And not at the same level that we really expected it to. So I felt a little blindsided in that. The continuing story, I hate even saying the word anymore, but inventory.
Yeah.
Inventory has been...
it's down again, year over.
And then the other thing that we've been really, really seeing is the media. The media has just been doing what they like with us. The media is so into projecting how down sales are. And this is one of my biggest pet peeves. So for example, they'll say, okay, home sales are down 5 or 6% from last year. Okay, we know that there weren't enough last year, but the thing is, the piece that they don't tell you is they don't tell you we have 10% less inventory.
Right.
So in theory,
of course it's going to be down.
We're outperforming last year.
Right.
But we don't have enough homes to sell people. And I think the other thing that I'd put out there that seems a little bit interesting to me is I feel like there's a little bit more segregation between the markets. Certain markets we have, in the start of the year seem ultra competitive. And then certain markets seem where people are being a little bit more critical and a little bit more slow to launch and move with regards to that. So that's been a kind of an interesting thing that I've seen.
But you would agree the single family home market up to a certain price point is still probably one of the most competitive that we're seeing out there.
More reasonably priced single family homes. Reasonably priced is the operative word in that. Different neighborhoods mean different price points. The other market that has just been cutthroat to me is the kind of the entry-level condo.
Yeah. And I would say it's taking people longer, generally speaking, to find their homes. So starting earlier is probably better because you've had to reallocate timelines for clients because they probably didn't start early enough because, everyone's optimistic. They're going to find their home within a certain period of time. Yeah. And it's just taking a little bit more.
No, I love that advice. We're people that we would rather have 12 months in advance with somebody to lay the groundwork, to lay the expectations, and to put in the homework when needed than 30 days. Trust me, I'm the person that you call me and say you need to be out of somewhere in 30 days. My blood pressure, which everyone knows can go up a lot, goes up. The vein in my forehead starts pulsing, and I am, that's a lot to do. So I agree with you. Kind of aligning with your team, your strategy, and everything like that is ever so important in what we're doing. So as we've talked about, as we were just talking about, certain markets are very, very competitive, right? Multiple bids. We've had as many as 24 offers on certain of our listings, which just seems a little insane to me. What is the best advice that you feel like you're giving to your buyers right now?
It depends when they reach out to me. Obviously, if I meet a new buyer who doesn't have an agent in an open house, I'm telling, and a lot of them will be like, oh, I'm just starting my search. I think they feel a little intimidated. And I think you have to welcome that and say, I'm glad you're just starting your search. You should be starting it as early as possible. Like finding a home that you want to live in is the hardest thing to do right now, and no one wants to feel pressure of time. So whether you are someone checking in at an open house or you're a current client of mine, we are looking at what are your hard timelines, and if we need to, how can we adjust them? Like, are you in a rental? And if you're in a rental, let's say your lease is up in June. We're talking about, can you extend? Are there options we can negotiate with the landlord for an early termination in case you find that dream house in November? And so I think once you start managing those anxieties, people feel like they can approach their house search more methodically instead of so frantically. A lot of the last couple of years, I don't know about you, have been me talking people out of buying places because I'm seeing the desperation and they're feeling stressed about their timeline. And I think the big focus is find the right house, not just a house or a condo. This is a big investment. It's not monopoly money. You don't know how long you might live there. I thought the house I was in was going to be short term, and I'm a product of a 3% interest rate, and you feel handcuffed. And that's a lot of what people are experiencing right now. So find the right house. Worry about timelines as a secondary issue.
One of the things that I've really noticed over my years is I feel like buyers feel like they're wasting your time if they reach out early. I get a lot of people to say, oh, I didn't want to reach out because I'm not ready yet.
I've had buyers do that. They'll be like, oh, I just went to the open house. I didn't want to bother you. Yeah. This is our job. You're not bothering us. I want to see that house with you.
And I think that's the point, is like us being able to get involved and invested at the very beginning, whether that's 3 months out, 6 months out, 12 months out, 24 months out.
Whatever.
The ability to have that ability to structure through it all is really beneficial. It's not a waste. It helps us to set expectations, put plans in place, and really guide from our perspective. Now, there's people that start really far off that we take our foot off the gas. It's not like all of a sudden you come in and we're going to go. But to get us involved in the very, very beginning is one of the best things that I think any buyer can do. The other things I think you said are great. You never want to make a decision because of a timeline, right? It's the worst thing that you can do in this business when you're buying a home. It just leads to not good decisions. And last night I was actually having this conversation with my client. They are in a very, very competitive market. And what we said was that they were so worried about their lease ending. And I said, guys, I have an idea. I want to share this with you. Your lease is ending kind of in the middle of summer. You're very stressed about this very competitive market. If I was in your shoes, if I was going to make a recommendation, let's extend the lease. Can we do it for 3 or 4 months, 6 months, or 12 months? Either way, as long as we have the ability to sublet that apartment, you're actually going to put yourself into a less competitive time. We're going to be able to make smarter decisions. And trust me, I feel like navigating that market, especially around the election, is going to be easier than the challenge of getting your apartment subletted.
100%.
And once again, that was that good advice and counsel. So, not everyone's going to be in that position. Some people have to buy. And I think the best thing to do in this market when it's competitive is to essentially breathe.
You have to take a very deep breath. You have to let the anxiety of a timeline go out the door. If you are renting, you can always keep re-renting. If you buy a home and you move in and you don't love it, you're not going to leave there very easily.
I always say, let me stress for you.
Yeah.
God knows I do. This is the stress and stairs diet, everybody. But let me stress for you. Let me help you navigate this. I will tell people when it's time to stress. But the reality is the stress has no place in what we do, because we need to help navigate. It's going to be hard. It's going to be stressful. Those things we know, but we have to make sure that we're making clear, smart decisions as we go through it.
Right. Like I just worked with a buyer. They are under contract now, but we had a deep conversation a couple weeks ago because they just want a house. They were like, we just want a house anywhere. They have a dog. They just want a house. And so they were looking at some neighborhoods that weren't top of the list for them. And finally, in this conversation, they're like, what should we do price point wise to get into the neighborhood that we really want? And do you think that's a smart decision? And I do. I think being in a neighborhood that you're going to become part of the community of is so important, and not just buying a house to have a house in any neighborhood.
Sure.
That's what renting's for.
It's some great advice there. Great advice.